You know the vibes. PVO, positive vibes only. FOE, family over everything. High vibrations. Hope everybody's staying clear minded, shooting all negativity down, focusing on yourself, protecting your energy, and mastering self. Today I want to talk to y'all. Today's February 7th. We're a couple days in with this so-called Black History Month. Just want to touch base on a couple things. I came across an interesting article. I'm gonna leave a link in the description. But just in general, Black History Month has been a month where we've started celebrating or started honoring or remembering people of our ethnicity and our nationality, recognizing what they've done in America over the years. With that being said, I don't know how many of y'all are familiar with this man, but he single-handedly is the reason for the whole month in itself. Meet the man who created Black History Month. February marks Black History Month as a federal recognized nationwide celebration that calls on all Americans to reflect on the significant roles that African Americans have played in shaping U.S. history. But how did this celebration come to be? And why does it happen in February? That's a very good question. I've always asked myself that. I know many of you out there have always asked yourself as well, like, well, who came up with Black History Month and why is it in February? And, why is it something that we even, celebrate? Why isn't it more days or why isn't it a different month? The man behind the holiday, Carter G. Woodson, considered a pioneer in the study of African American history, is given much of the credit for the Black History Month. The son of former slaves, Woodson spent his childhood working in coal mines and quarries. He received his education during the 4th-month term that was customary for black schools at the time. At 19, having taught himself English, fundamentals, and arithmetic, Woodson entered high school where he completed a 4-year curriculum in 2 years. He graduated from Berea College in 1903 and went on to earn his master's degree in history from the University of Chicago. He later earned a doctorate from Harvard. How the holiday came about. Disturbed that history textbooks largely ignored America's black population. So I don't know if you are familiar, but you should be. Just from my experience going through the school boards and the school systems, there's not really much history when it comes to so-called black people and what we've done or what they've done to us. Woodson took on the challenge of writing Black Americans into nation's history. To do this, he established the Association for the Study of Negro Life and History. He also funded the group's widely respected publication, the Journal of Negro History. In 1926, Woodson developed Negro History Week. So in 1926, Carter G. Woodson developed Negro History Week. So in 1926, it was established as just a week, not a whole month like how we do it now. He believed the achievements of the Negro properly set forth will crown him as a factor in early human progress and a maker of modern civilization. In 1976, Negro History Week expanded into Black History Month. So 1976 is when Negro History Week expanded into Black History Month. So that gives you kind of a little timeline of how we came from Black History Week to Black History Month and who is a little bit behind of Black History Week. Why did he pick February? Carter G. Woodson chose the second week of February for his celebration because it marks the birthdays of two men who greatly influenced the Black American population, so-called. Frederick Douglass, who escaped slavery and became an abolitionist and civil rights leader through his birthday. Though his birthday isn't known, he celebrated it on February 14th. And President Abraham Lincoln, who signed the Emancipation Proclamation, which abolished slavery in America's Confederate States, he was born on February 12th. For his work, Woodson has been called the father of Black history. So Carter G. Woodson has been called the father of Black history because of his work and the things that he's done in reference to the whole significance behind the Black History Week, and then in 1976 transitioning from the week into the month. That was just a brief article that I wanted to share with you all. I'm gonna leave the link in the description. As far as this whole month of February, I'm gonna be trying to drop a video every other day, just with different Black inventors, so-called Black inventors. Black scientists, not just, the Rosa Parks and the Dr. Martin Luther Kings and the Malcolm X's and the Harriet Tubmans and the Frederick Douglass, the ones that we normally hear about as we're going through school. But I want to touch base on others that we might not hear about, and Carter G. Woodson is one of those powerful figures that a lot of us don't know about, to be honest with you. I'm just getting up on him myself. I wouldn't say like this year, but maybe a few years ago, I'm just getting up on him. And with that being said, Carter G. Woodson, he has a lot of books, a plethora of books that I definitely recommend you all go out and get so you can educate yourself and familiarize yourself with just our history, not his story, but our history. And as a matter of fact, we right on cue. This is a book right here that I have that I highly recommend you all go check out. It's called the Miseducation of the Negro by Carter G. Woodson. I definitely recommend this book to you all. I'm not all the way finished, but I have started this book. I think I'm in like chapter 2 or 3. And man, all I can say is some very powerful information and knowledge in here. And if you're interested, you should definitely go get this book. I think I bought it off of Amazon for maybe like less than $15, $20, to be honest with you. I know Amazon is like one of the main ones where everyone go to get their books, but you get Barnes and Nobles. It's a lot of different Book of Millions, a lot of different book sites, and book websites and stores that you can go to, and I'm pretty sure you can find this book. I think I'm gonna just share like maybe like a couple sentences in the first chapter with you all. Chapter 1 is called "The Seat of Trouble." Just share it with y'all for a second. Those of y'all that aren't familiar with Carter G. Woodson, I just gave you a brief little backbone on him as far as he being the father of Black History Month, and him establishing the Black History Week that we now know as Black History Month. So Carter G. Woodson, The Miseducation of a Negro. This is chapter 1, The Seat of Trouble. The educated Negro have the attitude of contempt toward their own people because in their own as well as their mixed schools, Negroes are taught to admire the Hebrew, the Greek, the Latin, and the Teton, and to despise the African. That's chapter 1, the seed of trouble, the first sentence. I'm gonna run that back because I don't think y'all caught that. The educated Negroes have the attitude of contempt toward their own people because in their own as well as in their mixed schools, Negroes are taught to admire the Hebrew, the Greek, the Latin, the Teton, and despise the African. Of the hundreds of Negro high schools recently examined by an expert in the United States Bureau of Education, only 18 offer a course taking up the history of the Negro. And in most of Negro colleges and universities where the Negro is thought of, the race is studied only as a problem or dismissed as of little consequence. For example, an officer of a Negro university thinking that an additional course on the Negro should be given there called upon a Negro doctor of philosophy of the faculty to offer such work. He promptly informed the officer that he knew nothing about the Negro. He did not go to school to waste time that in that way. He went there to be educated in a system which dismisses the Negro as a non-entity. At a Negro summer school 2 years ago, a white instructor gave a course on the Negro, using for his text a work which teaches that whites are superior to blacks. When asked by one of the students why he used such a textbook, the instructor replied that he wanted them to get the point of view. Even schools for Negroes then are places where they must be convinced of their inferiority. Inferiority. The thought of the inferiority of the Negro is drilled into him in almost every class he enters and in almost every book of studies. So it's telling you how in almost every book and in every class in these schools, how the white man was inferior to the black man and how that whole ideology was pushed. The thought of, I'm sorry, family, bear with me 1 second. The thought of the inferiority of the Negro is drilled into him in almost every class he enters in almost every book he studies. If he happens to leave school after he masters the fundamentals before he finishes high school or reaches college, he will naturally escape some of this bias and may recover in time to be of service to his people. Practically all of the successful Negroes in this country are of the uneducated type or of that of Negroes who have had no formal education at all. The large majority of the Negroes who have put on the finishing touches of our best colleges are all but worthless in the development of their people. If after leaving school they have the opportunity to give out to Negroes what traducers of the race would like to have it learned, such persons may thereby earn a living at teaching or preaching what they have been taught, but they never become a constructive force in the development of the race. The so-called school then becomes a questionable factor in the life of the despised people. So they're saying that the schools that the education is coming out of, that the education is coming out of, is being taught in a certain way, shape, and form that ultimately constructs the mindset of the Negro. As another has well said, to handicap a student by teaching him that his black face is a curse and that his struggle to change his condition is hopeless, is hopeless and is the worst sort of lynching. It kills one's aspiration and dooms him to vagabondage and crime. It is strange then that the friends of truth and the promoters of freedom have not risen up against the present propaganda in the schools and crushed it. So he's basically saying that us as the people, he's surprised that we haven't stood up by now and really, dissect the school system or some of the the politics that are going on, the economics as far as with the education. We haven't dissected it, and we haven't stood up to speak out about it. We haven't rose up at all about it. It's present day propaganda in the schools. This crusade is much more important than the anti-lynching movement, because there would be no lynching if it does not start in the schoolroom. Wow. Why not exploit it, enslave, or exterminate a class that everybody is taught to regard as inferior? To be more explicit, we may go to the seat of trouble. Our most widely known scholars have been trained in universities outside of the South, Northern, and Western institutions. However, have had no time to deal with matters which concern the Negro especially. They must direct attention. They must direct their attention to the problems of the majority of their Negro as unworthy of consideration. As looking at our brother in that light, as far as that unworthiness. Most of what these universities have offered as language, mathematics, and science may have served a good purpose, but much of what they have taught as economics, history, literature, religion, and philosophy is propaganda. Period. All that shit is propaganda. And can't. That involved a waste of time and miseducated the Negroes thus trained. So basically, to paraphrase it, this is saying that although the universities have, classes and, studies in mathematics and science and language, and, it might serve a good purpose. It might be, little things in there that, we can take out that we might need. But for the most part, as far as the economics and history and, religion and philosophy, out these universities and schools, it's all propaganda. It's all to waste our time and miseducate us. Period. And even in the senatule of science or mathematics, it has been unfortunate that the approach of the Negro has been borrowed from a foreign method. So the whole approach to how they deal with us as Negroes or so-called black people According to chapter 1, The Seed of Trouble, page 5, in the Carter G. Woodson book, it's saying that this method, they calling it that this is a method. So this is something that they've planned strategically to miseducate us. They're saying this is a foreign method that was borrowed. So it goes to show you how this is a plotted, strategized type of thing that they've all set down probably together at the table to come up with a plan against us. For example, the teaching of arithmetic in the 5th grade in a backward county in Mississippi should mean one thing in the Negro school and decidedly different thing in the white school. The Negro children, as a rule, come from the homes of tenants and peons who have the migrant annually from plantation to plantation looking for light, which they have never seen. The children from the homes of white planters and merchants live permanently in the midst of calculations, family budgets, and the like, which enable them sometimes to learn more by contact than the Negro can acquire in school. Instead of teaching such Negro children less arithmetic, they should be taught much more of it than white children. For the latter attend a graded school consolidated by free transportation when the Negro go to one room rented hovers to be taught without equipment and by incompetent teachers educated scarcely beyond the 8th grade. In schools of theology, Negroes are taught the interpretation of the Bible worked out by those who have justified segregation and winked at the economic debasement of the Negro, sometimes almost to the point of starvation, deriving their sense of right from these teachings. Graduates of such schools can have no message to grip the people whom they have been ill trained to serve. Most of the time, miseducated ministers therefore preach to benches, while illiterate Negro preachers do their best they can in supplying the spiritual needs for the masses. In the schools of business administration, Negroes are trained exclusively in the psychology of economics of Wall Street and are therefore made to despise the opportunities to run ice wagons, push banana carts, and sell peanuts among their own people. Foreigners who have not studied economics but have studied Negroes take up these business and grow rich. In schools of journalism, Negroes are being taught how to edit such metropolitan dailies as the Chicago Tribune and the New York Times, which would hardly hire a Negro as a janitor. And when these graduates come to Negro weeklies for employment, they are not prepared to function in such establishments, which to be successful must be built upon accurate knowledge of the psychology and philosophy of the Negro. When a Negro has finished his education in our schools, then he has been equipped to begin the life of an Americanized or Europeanized white man. So let me get that. Let me run that back for yours y'all that missed that. It says when a Negro has finished his education in our schools, meaning their schools that we've been a part of, then he has been equipped to begin life as an Americanized and Europeanized white man. So that goes to show you right there what the whole preparation of us has been. Since we've been in schools, the education, the type of school curriculum that they've thrown out there for us, not only for us to slave to the system to keep the fucking matrix running, but it's to be a fucking Americanized or Europeanized white man. I didn't say this. This is what the book says. Remember, The Miseducation of the Negro by Carter G. Woodson. I highly recommend you all get this book. But before he steps from the threshold of his alma mater, he is told by his teachers that he must go back to his people from whom he has been estranged by a vision of ideals, which is in his disillusionment, he will realize that he cannot attain. He goes forth to play his part in life, but he must be both social and bisocial at the same time. While he is a part of the body politic, he is in addition to this a member of a particular race to which he must restrict himself in all social matters. While serving his country, he must serve within a special group. While being a good American, he must, above all things, be a good Negro. And to perform this definite function, he must learn to stay in a Negro's place. There you have it right there. So it's like it's still oh man, this shit is terrible for real, man. For the ador's task of serving a race thus handicapped, however, the Negro graduate has had little or no training at all. The people whom he has been ordered to serve have been belittled by his teachers to the extent that he can hardly find delight in undertaking what his education has led him to think is impossible. Considering his race as blank in achievement, then he sets out to stimulate their intimidations of others. The performance is kept up a while, but like any other effort at meaningless intimidation, it results in failure. Facing this undesirable result, the highly educated Negro often grows sour. I know we all can attest to that. Everything that I just read, if you pay attention, I highly recommend you all get this book. I think I'm gonna do some further videos where I go into, a couple other chapters, and we bring out some more information. To be completely honest with you, I recently, probably about 6 months ago, I got up on, salute to the brother Sabir Bey. If you guys don't know who Sabir Bey is, y'all need to Google him, YouTube him, Facebook him, IG him. Show that brother support. He's been doing this for years. Shout out to Philly. He from Philadelphia. But that's a powerful, educated brother right there. He's actually prompted me to kind of do this video a little bit because he's been going in out of this same book, So shout out to Sabir Bey, the traveling Moor. That's a whole nother video right there. You know what I'm saying? As far as, the Moorish history and the Moorish knowledge. Facing this undesirable result, the highly educated Negro often grows sour. He becomes too promiscuous, too permistic to be a constructive force, and usually develops into a chronic fault finder or a complainant at the bar of public opinion. Often, when he sees that the fault lies at the door of the white oppressor whom he is afraid to attack, he turns upon the pioneer Negro who is at work doing the best he can to extricate himself. I'm fucking that up, my bad, family. From a uncomfortable predicament. So it sounds like instead of, us attacking who we need to attack, we're afraid because of how, things have been, the inferiority. We go to who? Ourself, our own people, who's working hard. And we take it to our own people before we take it to, those others. We gotta do better than that, family. Like, for real. There's so much hate and envy toward our own people. This a little off, but it's like it's so much killing and murders going on amongst us. We for years we've been doing a great job of killing each other for them. We Xing ourselves out, writing ourselves right out of history. And a part of history. We doing both. I see myself when I look at another brother. So I'm not even trying to. I don't have that much envy and hate. Unless I'm on defense mode and I gotta protect myself, and even then I still feel bad. You gotta wake up, family. You gotta stop killing each other. You gotta educate ourselves. They playing games. It's all games they playing, working us against each other, especially the so-called black man got us killing each other, and then they just prompted the whole racism and got us, working that we think is this race and putting this race against that race. It's all fucking games, man. It's all games. Often when you see that the fault lies at the door of the white oppressor whom he is afraid to attack, he turns upon the pioneer Negro who is at work doing the best he can and is in an uncomfortable predicament. In this effort to intimidate, however, these educated people are sincere. They hope to make the Negro conform quickly to the standards of whites and thus remove the pretext for the barriers between the races. They do not realize, however, that even if the Negroes do successfully intimidate the whites, nothing new has thereby been accomplished. You simply have a larger number of persons doing what others have been doing. The unusual gifts of the race have not thereby been developed, and unwilling world therefore continues to wonder what the Negro is good for. These educated people, however, decry any such thing as race consciousness, and in some respects they are right. They do not like to hear such expressions as Negro literature, Negro poetry, African art, or thinking black. And roughly speaking, we must concede that such things do not exist. These things do not figure in the courses which they pursued in school, and why should they? Aren't we all Americans? Then whatever it is, American is as much the heritage of the Negro as of any other group in this country. The highly educated contend moreover that when the Negro emphasizes these things, he invites racial discrimination by recognizing such differentness of the races. The thought of the Negro is one thing and the white man another is the stock in trade argument of the Caucasian to justify segregation. Why then should the Negro blame the white man for doing what he himself does? Did y'all catch that? I'm gonna run that back. The highly educated contend, moreover, that when the Negro emphasizes these things, he invites racial discrimination by recognizing such differentness of the races. The thought that the Negro is one thing and the white man another is the stock in trade argument of the Caucasian to justify segregation. They putting it right there in our face. Why then should the Negro blame the white man for doing what he does to himself? You see these games that they play? These highly educated Negroes, however, fail to see that it is not the Negro who takes this position. The white man forces him to do it and to extricate himself. Therefore, therefrom, the Negro leader must so deal with the situation as to develop in the segregated group the power with which they can elevate themselves. The differentness of races, moreover, is no evidence of superiority or inferiority. This merely indicates that each race has certain gifts which the others do not possess. It is by the development of these gifts that every race must justify its rights to exist. So that was just basically chapter 1 that I wanted to share with you all in the book, The Miseducation of a Negro by Carter G. Woodson. I highly recommend you all go get this. I might do a couple other videos where, I might share a couple more chapters with you all. I might reference the book in some way, shape, or form to bring out, certain points or validate or just certain knowledge in history. That was chapter 1, The Seed of Trouble. And I hope everybody stay blessed, stay positive, shooting all negativity down. And I love y'all.